Even with firmware updates, both the R5 and the R6 both still have their overheating issues, and we can't ignore that. In my personal experience with the R6 here over the past week, I didn't see any overheating problems at all, and I shot a booty ton of photos and videos. So in this video, I'm not gonna dive into the overheating problems. There's a ton of great videos on the tube if you wanna see this camera turn into a giant s'more. Instead, I'm gonna show you guys a bunch of videos, a bunch of photos, and just talk about my real world experience with the Canon EOS R6. Did he just say Canon? Why does he say it like that? Well, maybe I had a really dumb merch idea and oopsie, I made it a real product you can buy and put on your head. Are you sick of people being more obsessed with camera brands than the actual work they make? Then rock this hat with me and prove to the nations that no one gives a shit about brand loyalty to a camera company. For real though, guys, I'm very excited about this here Canon dad hat. I spent a lot of time designing it and making sure the quality and everything was awesome for you guys, so you're not gonna get a crappy product. My goal is to just have a great time making things and help other people do that as well. And if you wanna support that, if you wanna not take cameras so darn seriously all the time, or if you just wanna wear something dumb on top of your head, then this is for you. Get one at the link below, and now let's talk more about the R6. Thanks for watching. In my initial tests with color grading the R6 footage, I noticed that it had a very yellowish orange tone. But after a bit of tweaking and just experimenting with the footage, I found that it doesn't take much to get the colors looking really nice from this camera. With Fuji and Panasonic specifically, I find myself having to take out a ton of magenta to get the skin and just overall color tones looking the way that I like them. But with the R6, it's really well balanced right out of the camera and it just looks nice. I like it, okay? Sue me! Sue me for liking colors from Canon, okay? Don't sue me. Can't afford that. I found myself needing to adjust the color temperature more and also the intensity of the color grade. I dialed the temperature down just a little bit to kind of get rid of that hello yellow vibe.
Hello.
And I use Film Convert to color grade all my footage, and it's basically just using film stock emulations as LUTs. So I just turned down the intensity of the film stock itself, and it would be the exact same as turning down the intensity of a LUT. I almost forgot. Buy my merch. All the B-roll footage you're seeing in this video was shot in Canon log with the Cinema EOS original color matrix. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, it is. Good job, me. But this talking head footage you're watching is shot in Canon log still, but with the neutral color matrix. Obviously, it's up to personal preference what you like, but I think the neutral color matrix gives the skin tones a little bit more of a natural look. Also, they give you a little bit of customization in the Canon log settings on this camera, and I turned the sharpness and saturation all the way down just to give myself a little bit more flexibility in post and to hopefully get rid of a little bit of that digital sharpness look that we get with mirrorless cameras. In the wild world of mirrorless cameras, we're always on the hunt for the smallest, most compact, itty-bitty body. But apparently Canon is saying, bring me the beef. Honestly, when I first saw the R6 in person, I was a little bummed at how freaking massive this thing is. But then after shooting with it for an entire week, getting used to it, I started to like the beef. Modern, compact mirrorless cameras really are cool, but there's something to be said about that classic DSLR feel, like the 7D or the old 5Ds. It just feels really nice in the hand. But we have all the mirrorless technology inside. The grip is deep, the materials that make up the body feel really high quality, and yet the camera is actually pretty light. It's definitely light enough to carry around with you all day, like a lot of other mirrorless cameras. I really don't have any issues with the R6's build quality or the physical design. Compared to the old X-T4, the buttons on the R6 actually feel a lot less clicky, but they feel really good. They're kind of more of a rubber texture, but you don't need to put that much pressure to actually activate the button. These are a little more stiff and tactile, kind of more pronounced. Both are fine. And the actual physical material on the body feels kind of like a Kevlar style texture. For sweaty boys and girls, the R6 might give you a little bit extra grip. Both the viewfinder and the flip out LCD are great quality, and I definitely recommend that you up the brightness probably close to max if you're gonna shoot outdoors. If you're using an external microphone like this little Deity D4 Duo on the camera, the internal mic audio quality sounds just fine, and it's much better than old noisy Canon cameras from back in the day. And the battery life is also very solid. I shot the skate park footage, the basketball footage,
Rain dance!
and all the soccer photos on one battery. And we shot like 900 photos with all the different burst sequences we did, and we still had a little bit of charge in the battery afterward. These new LP-E6 NH batteries seem to be a great move for Canon. They're the same physical design as the older LP-E6 batteries, but something in the battery sauce just gives it a little bit extra life in these new cameras. Also, you can use your old LP batteries in the newer Canon cameras, but not vice versa. In a lot of ways, R6 is every dad's biggest fear. She's a party girl, and she chugs. I'm not trying to be judgmental at all, but when I take these files, put them onto my hard drives into Premiere Pro, and then I click spacebar, they chug hard. And the only cure for this kind of a hangover is proxies. But even toggling between the proxy footage and the regular footage can be dangerous. It can lock up Premiere, so just be aware and edit responsibly. Now, IBIS is a whole different story. To me, overall, it seems okay. I shot everything you're seeing in this video with the R6 and the Canon 15-35 2.8 with IS. One weird quirk with this system is when you put an RF lens with IS onto the R6, it grays out the option in the stabilization menu to completely turn off IBIS. And it diverts the control for the stabilization to the switch on the lens. Now, there's still menu settings where you can activate digital image stabilization and the enhanced digital image stabilization, and I have some tests where you can see all those different things. But to my knowledge, you cannot completely turn off IBIS with this kind of a setup. And that's kind of a bummer because one of my favorite ways to shoot is handheld, and a lot of times I don't want any image stabilization. I want to get those little handheld cinematic looking movements that IBIS can't really pull off. The IBIS does have some wobble like most IBIS systems, especially if you're shooting at 15, which is like freaking crazy wide on this camera. But if you're careful with it and you use it smart, you can definitely get usable results. Just keep an eye on her autofocus though, because once in a while, completely randomly, she'll just lose track of where she's looking. And I'm talking about video autofocus. I had no issues with the autofocus, even when in high burst modes during photography. You know, it is possible to date a camera and enjoy your time with her. I loved my time with the R6. Sure, the dynamic range wasn't what I wanted in a relationship, but I still got great images in both photo and video. And for photography, holy crap, I loved her. Her 4K 60 was gorgeous, and her 1080 120 was actually really good. I didn't see any weird noise patterns, any crazy moire, or anything that would make me pull her out of a 4K timeline. I didn't have any overheating problems while I was shooting with the R6, but you gotta keep in mind, I wasn't shooting long form content, and the weather here has actually been really nice and cool for a change. So I really wasn't pushing the camera super hard, and I know there's already a ton of tests out there on YouTube, so I didn't feel like I needed to dive into that whole thing. But since we know there are still those inescapable overheating issues, I just wouldn't bring this camera into a professional environment. I suppose if you're just shooting short clips or doing photo and video for fun, then yeah, this is a really nice camera that makes great looking images. But then again, if you're shooting for fun, why would you spend so much money on this kind of a camera when you could get something way more affordable that also gets great results? Buy a Canon hat from the link down below. I would really appreciate it. I'm really excited about this. Subscribe to Kinotika and my personal channel for decent videos. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you very soon. R6, we're breaking up. When we love, we think we'll